Okay, hello. I bet you would like to focus on writing your database code instead of preparing release scripts, right? So probably you would like to automate your database scripts and have more time to drink coffee. Then you are in the right place. I will show you how to do it in less than 30 minutes. My name is Rafał Grzegorczyk. I am Oracle Apex and database developer at Previous Company. I hope to be able to visit Switzerland soon, maybe next year. I am Polar Bear Club member, and I wonder if water in your lakes is cold in winter. Okay, a few words about Pretius. We are a team of over 150 IT experts, mostly focused on Oracle stack, including Java and database. With dedicated department of over 30 Apex developers. You may know some of our open source Apex plugins projects. If you develop international application, you might have used our Translate Apex.com portal. We are located in Warsaw, Poland, but acting globally, providing remote teams and entire development process to our customers. And one element of such a process is database objects development and database lifecycle management. And that's why we should think of tracking and organizing this from the very beginning. So now let's talk about database DevOps. Many organizations have implemented DevOps in their application, that's true. But what about database script deployment process? How about you? Is your database DevOps fantastic and beautiful like Shire? Or more like this model, or maybe database DevOps in your organization doesn't even exist? I bet you are still manually executing and creating scripts to your database, right? And spending hours creating deployment scripts, or maybe validating scripts received from your team, or merging them into one file. And what about this situation? Probably you know this. You had a table with 4 columns. Suddenly it has 5 columns. And as usual, no one is guilty. What about this? Yesterday, this package has compiled, but today it is not compiling. Nobody changed anything, officially, of course. How many hours have you wasted looking what, when, and who changed something in your database? Dozens of hours, hundreds of hours. I also faced all these problems until I started using Liquibase with my Oracle database. Okay, so let's define what tool is Liquibase and how it works. Liquibase is open source tool written in Java. There are 2 main concepts that are Liquibase foundation. The first one is schema changes, which consist of change logs and change sets. Changelog is a file containing schema changes. One or more schema changes are grouped into change set. For example, create table, adding index, dropping column, insert some rows into table are change set. And if you will contain them all into one file, this file will be a changelog. And concept number 2 of working Liquibase is tracking tables. These tables are used to track, version, and deploy database schema changes. Of course, if your database does not contain a tracking table, Liquibase will create these tables for you. And these are 2 tables. Changelog, which tracks changes in your database, and database changelog log. It prevents multiple Liquibase commands from being executed at the same time. Installation is very simple. You just need to go to Liquibase org site, pick to download just the files, unpack the files to your folder, and add environment variable path to this folder. Okay, enough PowerPoint for now. Let's switch for a demo. I show you how it looks. Give me a moment. I will switch to my other screen. Okay. This is what we have. This is my Visual Studio Code. I hope it is good visible for you. Liquibase is installed. I also have Git installed. This is my HR folder. It's my Git repository as well. It's newly created. I also have locally installed Oracle Express Edition database with HR schema. I have few objects there, but they are not in my Git repository yet. I will show you these objects now. Here there are. These are a few tables. You may know some of them. And in my repository, I have few folders for synonyms, tags, views, package specification, and package body. At the beginning, to run Liquibase, we need to have a properties file. It is simple text file. You can create it manually. You can call it however you want. It can have random extension. I have called my file Liquibase dev properties because I want to be always sure that I run Liquibase against my development database. If I would like to run it against other environment, I would probably call it Liquibase production properties or something like that. And I put this properties file in HR folder. It's just for simplification. You can put it wherever you want. This file could have some properties as you can see. To start with Liquibase demo, we need only few of them. For now, the important ones are changelog file. And this is the path to my update XML file. I will talk about it in a moment. URL to my local Oracle Express Edition database, username, password, a class path to my OJDBC file, and default Liquibase schema name. These are the most important. Of course, you can read more about other properties in Liquibase documentation. As I mentioned before, I also have Liquibase folder. This folder is not required. It's just for the convenience. In this folder, I also put OJDBC file to connect to Oracle database. You don't need to put this file here. You can have the OJDBC wherever you want. I did this to this project because I want to be sure that all the developers using this repository will use the same driver to my database. I also have the update XML changelog file here. This is the one. You can put this file wherever you want. The update XML file is the main changelog file. Liquibase will start to work looking at this file at the beginning. You can think about this like with the tree. From roots to leaves, Liquibase will start looking for database changes starting from the update XML file and going to another changelog that we will define in this file later. Okay, now I will initialize my Liquibase for the first time to my database. I will open the terminal starting from a HR folder. I don't have Liquibase tables yet, so as I mentioned before, Liquibase will create them for me. In my terminal, I will type Liquibase, then we will define where is our properties file. This is Liquibase, the properties. And the command I will use at the beginning is update. It's the command that is executing any changes to your database, but I will add SQL to this command because I only want to preview the SQL. I don't want to do any changes to my database yet. So Liquibase has started. Update was executed successfully. This is the generated file. Look at this. As you can see, at the beginning, it will create database log table, database change log. Then the table database change log, the main table that will hold all the information about any changes that you have made to your database. Because I want to initialize Liquibase to my database and I want to execute the script, then I will run update command. Command was executed successfully. Let's check my database, tables, and as you can see, we have this new tables created, database change log and database change log. Okay, now let's make some database changes and I will show you how to track these changes. One moment. Okay, as I told you before, in my update XML file, which is my main changelog file, I also added the path to another changelog. It's master XML file, which I put to editor folder. It's here. It's master XML file. So when I will run Liquibase now, it will start looking to update XML file, then it will look into master XML file. This is a changelog, and it has information that we want to include all files that are in these folders: synonyms, views, types, package specification, and package bodies. All the files that I will put in these folders will be treated as a change set. And a quick reminder, change set is a unit of change that Liquibase executes on a database, for example, create view, table, package, synonym, index, and others. Okay, a few seconds ago, I added a new package body and specification. Here is choose body and choose specification. I also created change set for this file. Let's have a look at this. This is the simple package specification. Liquibase tracks each change set in the changelog by ID, author, and the file where the change set resides. The author is here. It's my Airdrop object. The ID is choose package specification. I also added parameter random change true because I want this change set to be run and executed to database every time you will change anything to this file. And strip comment false because I don't want Liquibase to cut comments when executing to database, and comment is optional. I did the same with choose body, with package body of this, but I call it choose package body. Okay, so we have two new files. Now I will run Liquibase update SQL command again to see what Liquibase would like to do and what changes I've made. So let's run it. And as you can see, Liquibase just generated the file and it's here. At the beginning, Liquibase will compile this packet specification. Then it will insert information into database changelog table. It's the table that tracks all the information. Then it will compile packet body and insert information to database changelog table. So let's do it. Let's run update. So this script will be executed. As you can see, it's pretty fast. And now let's check the database changelog table. Let's see what's there. And as you can see, we have 2 rows added to this table with ID, author, file name, date executed, and comments I added there. And now let's make some DDL changes. For DDL purposes, I recommend you to have a different file. For example, changelog SQL. I created it here. This is it. I will add a change set here. For this demo, I would like to create a table called shoes. So I write change set, author, ID, comment, rollback. I will talk about rollbacks in 2 minutes. The create table script. Also, if I added a new changelog file with change set inside it, you have to remember to include this file into my master XML. So I will comment this. So now Liquibase will know that he has to look to this changelog. And as you may notice, to this change set, I didn't add a random change true parameter because I wanted to be executed only one because it's DDL. So let's run update SQL again to preview. Okay, the file is here. Liquibase will create this table, insert information into database changelog. So let's create this table. Let's run update. In the meantime, I will close this. And let's check the database changelog table. As you can see, we have additional 3rd row with information that the changelog was executed. And if we will check the tables, let's refresh, we have a new table called shoes. Okay, but error happens, right? So what if you would like to revert your changes? Liquibase had command. As I showed you before, I have written a rollback command here. So let's imagine that I would like to roll back the last change. Then I can type rollback found SQL1. So rollback only the one last change, but with SQL, because I want only to preview the SQL file, I don't want to rollback it for now. Let's check the SQL. As you can see, there is drop table and delayed from the tracking table, database changelog. So if I will run this rollback without this SQL, successful. Then when I will refresh my tables, there's no shoe tables. And when I will check the database changelog tracking table, there are only the first 2 rows with information that I added to packet specification and packet body. Okay, but I will bring this table back by running update because I will need this shoe table again. So I will run update. The row in the changelog table is here again, and I have this table back again. Okay, so let's go to another part. Probably some of you are wondering now, how can you use Liquibase in your existing project without spending hours or days to achieve it, without hours of writing all those change set and change logs? So I can tell you, yes, you can do it in a very, very short time. I will show you on examples. As I mentioned before, I have Oracle Express Edition database here with Schema HR, and I have some objects already created. These are those objects: countries, department, employees, and others. And not all of them are in my Git repository. If you already use some, if you are already using some Git or other source control program, it's better for you. So I will do like that. I just added to my Git repository a 2 procedure and 2 triggers. Here there are p-add job history and p-secure DML, and these 2 triggers. I only want Liquibase to track these files. These are plain SQL files, and no change set information. I just exported these files from my Oracle database. So I will show you how Liquibase will work. Before adding these files, you will export from your database, or maybe you have them already. Remember to add paths to these folders to your master XML file. This is it, procedure and triggers. And I will run update SQL to check what Liquibase would like to do. Preview. Okay, so Liquibase would like to create these 2 triggers and these 2 procedure again. This is good, but this is not what exactly I wanted, because I already have this object in my database. So I don't want to execute them again. I just want to have information that these objects are in my database, and Liquibase should track any changes I will make it to this file. So that's why we have a command which is called changelog sync. SQL to just preview. I will run it. So Liquibase, when running changelog sync, will only insert 4 rows into database changelog table with information about these 4 files. So when I will remove SQL, I will execute this insert. Then let's check our database changelog table. And as you can see, we have 4 information about these 4 files. Now, if you would like to change anything into these files and do some changes, then you just need to write a change set, and Liquibase will track all the changes to the files. How to do it? It's simple. For example, let's take the p-add job history procedure. You just write a change set, for example, like this. Author, ID, random change true, and I will add duplicate insert. So I will do change. When now I will run update SQL preview. Check the file. Liquibase will replace this procedure with a new version and add the new row to the database change table. So let's run it by running update. And let's preview the database changelog tracking table. And here it is. Information about this change set that I added, duplicate, insert. Okay, that was just few simple examples for the demo. It's just the basics of Liquibase. You can do much more with this software. I hope you will start tracking the information you are doing in your database. Now I'll switch back to my presentation. Give me a moment, I will switch my screen. Okay. So I hope I encourage you to start using Liquibase. I also have few tips for you. Always plan your file repository and location of future changelog and change set. Remember that if you decide to implement Liquibase in your project, all developers involved should use Liquibase, always. And after that, enjoy your extra coffee time, like I promised. If there are any questions, I will be here for you for a few minutes because I am 3 minutes before the time. You can also check the documentation of Liquibase. You can also check my tutorial with Liquibase at Pretius.com website. And if you have any questions, go ahead now. Thank you very much.